All right, guys. So it's day 107. Um, I'm kind of just gonna jump into it. I'm not, like I said, I think it's important that we just keep it strictly to the law. So I think people have a big misconception when dealing with court cases and taking values of them. Obviously, play a big role. They mix the two together, and you just can't do that. So value comes afterwards. Let's get that. Let's get that right away. Like it's not about the money. Like I want. It's going to be black and white. As I mentioned. So, you know, and let me just give you an example real quick. So the value comes like once I've proven that what they've done to me was illegal. Um, then all it really comes down to is negotiating the value of everything, how much my retirement would have been in so many years, lost wages, pain and suffering, punitive damages. Punitive damages are important because it affects me, but it's a punishment to CarMax for what they've done. So that it's not okay that you're going to get penalized for this, and it so happens that hey, what did they say? They say eventually somebody's going to punch you in the face. Well, this is my, so to speak, punching CarMax in the face, and they can't get away with this, and that's kind of what that's about. But like it really just comes to black and white. So I wrote a couple notes down, and this would be kind of the segment for the day. Like I said, I want to keep it strictly law based, and I want to show how CarMax, logically, how CarMax did me wrong, and that's kind of what it comes down to. So, as an American, it's your birthright. There's certain things that you're born with, and that's the greatest thing that you have that comfortably, especially I guess as a parent. So like I said, I grew up with 10 brothers and sisters. So I think for my parents to come to the country and have that confidence, that this new country took you in and giving you this opportunity, they ran with it. They loved the idea. It was there. So like you have these birthrights. So the birthrights, it's the Constitution deals with the Constitution, the freedom of speech, and so on. And you guys might be aware. I think it was the Rashi Shneen. Like there's a lot of controversy around it, whether it's right or wrong, whatever. I'm not here for that. The thing I think we're all missing. I think the big thing with that is it was black and white. They strictly kept it to the laws, and that's why they were so successful. And that's the benefit that I have in my case against CarMax is I know that I did nothing wrong. So like to have that certainty, that like okay, if the laws are black and white, it's going to be black and white. There is no room for interpretation. This is what happened. So here you go. So you have these birthrights. It is what it is. So like as an employee of any company, we have these standards. Here us as Americans, these are standards to us. And we won't allow people to abuse those standards. And I'm not gonna, it's not gonna start with me. You're not gonna abuse my standards that were given to me. So if I feel like my standards dropped illegally or dropped because of something that I couldn't control, that's not fair. So because it's my birthright to go and file a grievance and say, hey, I think what you're doing. Matter of fact, I know what you're doing is illegal. And even if let's just say everybody in the world, and we're talking about law. Everybody in the world, there's no certainty, so you have that 99.9% chance, right? You have that 99% that hey, maybe he wasn't discriminating. You still have that 0.01% chance that something was happening. And that's all you need, because then you are able to get into the whole litigation process and you start uncovering. So that's what everybody needs to understand, especially within the first stages of negotiations, the first stages of actually getting ready to litigate and discovery and all that, is you're going to start unfolding information, and how much information are you wanting to expose? And that's kind of where the tears come in terms of the negotiation. Like you're kind of like, okay, well, what can I get away with? And it's just at that point, it's just a game, and that's what they play, and that's how the attorneys make money. Whatever. fine, play your game, but I have nothing to lose. So like, my attorneys might think they're playing a game, but I am going the distance with this. It's to expose what they've done, and not many people do that. Not many people go through the whole process. It's just easier to take the money, but it's not. Again, it's not about the money. I want to see if our system is going to be available for us when we need it. So basically, let me give it to you, and then let me give it to you exactly how it went down, and then not exactly how it went down. We could talk about that stuff later, but black and white how it went down, exactly what had happened. So I have my birthright. I can go file the reason even for that 0.01% chance, and that's okay. They can't hold. They can't retaliate against the fact, even if it's just a 0.1. They can't retaliate. They have to allow me to do that. So I went. I think what's important for a lot of people to understand is I went on a chronological order. I followed the steps that were given to me by the U.S. government. So there's processes and procedures in place for this reason. That's what allowed. That's what you're going to see a lot of it come true. Is I follow those, and it was like it was written in the books already. They're like, okay, do this, and then like. And when I did something, CarMax did something that was just totally stupid. Why would you do that? Like, are you not thinking about what? Like, so I'm like, okay, well then I kept going through the process that the government was giving me through the EEOC, and it's not even that; it's before that. You have the chain of command. So the moment I felt discriminated against, I go to my superior. I say, hey, I'm not comfortable with the decision that was made. I like you take it with HR, so we got HR involved. So I went to my immediate manager. I didn't go above him because there's hotlines. I took the proper steps that were there. So contacted the manager. He said, okay. Scott Brady got involved. He's HR for the regional in Sacramento. Keep in mind, he's not in contact with any of the associates. He only comes in at one time. I've never seen this guy before. And all of a sudden, he doesn't have my best interest per se. He's just coming to do a, so to speak, job, which is fine. But you have to understand that when I'm coming for emotion, when you're working, emotions get involved. Unfortunately, we can't use emotions when we talk about quota law, so I have to leave that out. This is just proving something. So, brought him involved. I tell him, hey, I feel like the decision was made. So he did his investigation. He came back and gave me information that was not in course, or there was not in connection with. I guess I have to. Okay, so I applied for a transfer, just a lateral transfer. Okay, so once the lateral transfer process went through, I had an interview, and I didn't get the job. That was it. So he was the first. Joe Mary was the first guy. So now I'm kind of coming forward now. Now I filed a complaint with HR. I say, hey, I need you to look into his decision not to have me transferred to that store. I think there's some foul play going on. I heard some things. And he's like, okay, did his thing. So he gave me his feedback. He said, no, there was no foul play going on. It was all good. You just didn't get the job. I was like, okay, fine. Then I said, well, again, that's not good enough for me. I'm letting you know as an HR representative that I'm going to be filing a complaint with the EEOC because I feel like I'm being discriminated against. And he says, okay, that's your right. You can do that. And I said, perfect. The moment I filed a complaint, 2 weeks later, I get fired. Or excuse me, 2 weeks later, the incident about what they said that I did happened. And then 2 weeks later, I get fired. So I filed a complaint, incident, fired, all within 1 month. So basically, what I need everybody to see is that it's a chronological order. So you have I did something and filed a complaint, which is okay. That's you're allowed to file a complaint. And then the reaction to that is I'm going to retaliate against you because you did that. So how can I get rid of you? So this goes away, or whatever the reason was, whatever they're being racist, or who knows at this point what's going on. But because of what I did, which was okay to do, they retaliated against me and they fired me. it happened too soon. So the reason why they fired me, all that stuff we'll get into, but it's just again black and white. Like the rest of the stuff is I filed a complaint, they retaliated, and I was fired all within that 1 month. It just that's where the fishy part. Now it's just like, okay, how do we prove that any of this was illegal? And then that's when you start discovering and doing that whole process. Well, I spoke to a manager, and a manager has. This is the job of a manager. This is the phone calls all day long. So that's I'm not getting into. So that's it. The kind of what the process is right now is proving that hey, this is what you guys did was wrong, and that's it. Uh, Things like the reward, the money, none of it comes to prove. I'm proving to them that they did this and it was illegal, and this is why. So that's kind of what this is about. And then I'll kind of give you guys a story, maybe 3 or 4 parts. So we'll see how it goes.